Greetings and salutations, my friend. Approximately 1.5 years ago, I made a video about the British police arresting an autistic teenage girl for calling a police officer a lesbian, or more precisely, that she reminds her of her lesbian nan.
Why are you doing units coming? Don't worry. She hasn't done anything. She's autistic. I don't care. She's autistic. I know you're okay. I'm telling you, I've got units coming. She's going to be arrested. Calm down. She's autistic. Can you stop staring at her, please? She's got autism. Can you just stand there? She's in a cupboard. She can't go anywhere. She can't go anywhere. I think she said the word lesbian. Her nana is a lesbian. She's married to a woman. She's not homophobic. Look what you're clenching your fist. Go away from my teenage daughter.
You know, the thing about figures or institutions of authority being abusive towards and not understanding the needs of autistic individuals is one topic that sort of makes me angry, you know. You might have got that impression from me when I was making that video in the past. Whenever things like that happen, it makes me angry. You know, it's this one thing that gets on my nerves. So when I discovered this video that I'm going to show you, which is actually from last year, all I have to say is this is much worse. This is much worse, and it's American police this time. So don't think you American bobbies that you're getting scot-free here. Hell no. Hell no. The events that you're going to see take place in Ohio, and the person who is arrested and put in jail here is an autistic man, Trammel, who is just 19 years old.
You could see in his mugshot how distressed he was.
Not surprising, really.
I had nightmares for months. The fear in his eyes. I've never seen anyone so scared. They knew he was autistic. He was terrified.
What you're seeing here is actually not that unusual. It's what we call an autistic meltdown, and this one might seem a bit severe. Probably one of the most severe I've ever seen, but it happens, you know. Every autistic person's meltdown is going to be completely different, and some of us have very mild forms of stimming. But yeah, what you're seeing here is just a completely natural, normal reaction for someone on autistic spectrum, really.
You could see it right then and there. If they had paid attention, they would have known something bad was about to happen and he needed medical help right then and there.
Remember what Sergeant said? You're going to go there for 10 hours next time you go in there. You want to do that? Then have a seat and chill out. Sit down. Sit down.
He was 3 weeks away from turning 20.
Alright. This is the worst thing you could possibly do, really, is to give orders in a very, very aggressive tone to a person on spectrum who's having this type of meltdown, you know. And I had experiences like that myself, you know, and nowhere near anything you're seeing here. I was never placed in confinement, I was never in jail, but I have been in a situation where, and you know, here's the thing: if you're having a meltdown like that, a lot of people will assume that you're either going to be aggressive or you're here to cause trouble. And that is never something I am, right? But I have people coming at me and saying things in a very aggressive tone, like, you need to chill, you need to calm down, right? You're looking for trouble or something, you know. people who are just very, very aggressive towards you when you're like that. Even though your intention, right, it's not being aggressive. It never is. I mean, never, you know, might be cases where that might be true, but I think those are like very, very, very few. But this is how people react to it, right? Because, you know, I think it's lack of knowledge, really. We tend to believe that what deviates from normal behavior is usually harmful to others. And, you know, most of the time it is harmful to the individual experiencing that more than it is harmful to people around them. And yes, there are mental illnesses that do cause harm for people around a person with a specific mental illness, such as narcissism, psychopathy, and sociopathy. Those are examples of mental illnesses that will actually cause trouble and cause harm to people around the person with the diagnosis. But with most mental illnesses, that is not the case. And when you're talking to someone, giving orders in that aggressive voice, you're going to make it worse. And you can see how distressed he is. You can see that he is actually becoming more distressed when somebody talks to him like that, instead of having someone there calm him down. But, well, then you have to know what you're doing, right? We need someone on the scene who's knowledgeable enough about his condition. But that is unfortunately not what we're seeing here. Was there anyone there who actually knew how to handle this situation? It doesn't really look like it. It doesn't look like it at all. Another thing about this sort of aggressive, assertive and authoritative way of handling this type of situation is that, you know, a person who is experiencing that type of distress, and, you know, even non-autistic people in situations of extreme distress might interpret that tone of voice, that person, as a threat, right? Because when your fight and flight instincts activate, it's much easier for you to interpret a lot of things around you and people around you as threats. And yeah, for me personally, I think it's a mixture of autism and trauma, right? Because you know, when that traumatic response activates in certain situations, when it comes to identifying something as a threat, it goes from like 10% to 80%. It's a huge difference there, really. Alright, so Isaiah Trammel, 19, was arrested in his Lebanon apartment during a mental health crisis after a neighbor called the police complaining of noise. You know, this is a situation where he shouldn't be put in jail at all. This is not the right way of handling the situation. Well, someone complained of the noise, you know, because of the inconvenience someone's mental health crisis caused others. It's not a solid enough argument to actually place someone in jail where, you know, like this type of solution is going to make things worse, right? If you're already in a mental health crisis, as we can see, extreme distress here, what they did actually escalated things further, really. And there was no way that this would solve anything, really. Yeah, sure, on the surface level, right, my neighbor is now not complaining about noise, because that's the most important thing. And you know, I'm someone who doesn't like noise either. I don't, really. But, you know, when it comes to my comfort of not experiencing noise and handling someone's mental health crisis correctly, you know which I'd prioritize, right? That's not a question. That's not a question. But he shouldn't be in jail at all in the first place. Everything about this from A to Z is just completely fucking wrong. The officers found an outstanding year-old warrant from Montgomery County from a previous wellness call that Trammel and his family had no knowledge of, and he was taken to jail. Fuck.
His dad told me that Isaiah's at Miami Valley, he's on life support, and they're saying that there's nothing that they can do for him. There's too much brain injury.
Fuck. You know, you might be thinking, take someone with severe autism to have this sort of meltdown, right? But here's the thing, you know, when we talk about levels of autism, you know, severe, high functioning, you know, in most situations it really doesn't matter, right? Because a lot of people think of someone like me as someone with high functioning autism. And, you know, in some ways, they're not wrong. But, you know, it's easy to be high functioning when you're fine. It's easy, right? It's not hard to be high functioning when everything's okay, right? But it's the moment you're not fine, the moment you're not okay, that suddenly, you know, you realize, hell, I'm not as high functioning as I think I am, you know. And there's no saying how functioning this person is in situations outside of it, when they're fine. Because, you know, you see a specific situation here, in a very specific context, and you might be thinking, oh, someone with, this is very severe, right? That doesn't have to be the case, because, you know, might be someone like me, might be someone who's maybe a little more autistic, maybe a little less autistic, I don't know. And I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter at all, because it is hard for some people to imagine, but I have had extreme meltdowns. I have screamed in public, you know, and it's something, if you're self-aware enough, you're embarrassed about this, you're ashamed of it, you know, that's the case, and that's always the case for me if something like that happens. But hell, it happened. I have had really bad meltdowns in public, and I have had people accusing me of, like I said, wanting to start trouble, wanting to harm someone, and so on. So we can't really judge how severe this person's autism is out of one specific situation here. Because, you know, people might be tempted to put someone like me and someone like him in two very different boxes. Well, here's the thing, there's a tunnel between these boxes, which you can move freely through from one box to the other, sort of like a rat in this tube that connects the two boxes.
So he was stimming in the videos, and he just kept hitting his head. Stimming, some people, it just helps them to calm down. It's not something they can control. Some people flap their arms, some people do hand. I mean, he did all of that too, but when he would get really upset, he would hit his head.
Oh.
Hey, gentlemen. Guys, lock back now. Let's go.
The more they try to, you know, control the stimming, like, the more irritated they get. He hated to be touched. He hated to be restrained, even as a baby.
You know, I'm not so sure if this is stimming. if it is, this is the most intense type of stimming I have seen with my eyes. Honestly, this is close to a meltdown. This is not stimming. This person is having a full-blown meltdown, and I didn't mean to correct his mother. I mean, she knows her son better than anyone else, really, better than me. So maybe she's right about this. It's not for me to say, really. But this is what I'm observing, and I'm thinking of it as a complete meltdown, you know. But maybe this is regular stimming for this person. And yeah, my stimming is actually pretty mild. If I do that, I do this with my hands very often. I shake my legs. Yeah, that's quite normal for me to do. I bite a lot, my fingers, lips, stuff like that. But you know, fuck. When you see a situation like that, I mean, that this is a form of self-harm, even if the intention is not to cause yourself harm, but rather to calm yourself down through that, right? When you're for him, it's banging his head on the wall, which is dangerous, right? This is a crisis situation because, well, you know, this person might actually end themselves there, right? And you have to resolve the situation as quickly as possible when that happens. And sure, it looks like they did, but the way they went about it, like, was there anyone on the scene who knew anything about his condition, about his diagnosis? Doesn't look like it. So the big question is the police actually trained enough to handle situations like that? They are trained to handle criminals. This person is not a criminal. This person needed an immediate mental help here and there. That never happened. Well, what actually did happen is much worse.
The car seat alone. Oh, that was awful.
Please, let's talk about it.
I mean, okay. Kevin says, let's talk about this. Let's see that they're not interested in hearing what he has to say. He's self-aware. He's very self-aware of what he's doing, his situation, and his needs. But it's like, you know, you can't help it, right?
He hated to be restrained. He hated people touching him. He loved to hug, but only certain people.
Me too.
Like me, my mom. I do know they stripped him naked. And he hated his body to be exposed. And he kept telling them that. He wanted them, he kept asking them if they would just talk to him. Please just listen.
Can someone please listen to me?
Being confined. He hated to be confined. Absolutely, that would trigger him, and he would just panic. In the video, you can see the hematoma. You can see it in the video.
Please, I want meds. Can I have meds? If I have meds, if I have meds, stop, please. Please, the quickest we get me your meds, the earliest they might stop.
He even tells them precisely what needs to be done. Because he knows his own situation, right? He gives them proper instructions. They don't care, you know. They're not trained to be handling this situation. It's just, but even though you need to have some level of self-awareness to know that, hey, this person is actually giving you an important piece of information here that he needs his fucking meds. You know it means something, right? It's not just throwing his words in the wind for the wind to carry them away somewhere far into East Asia or somewhere, I don't fucking know. This is an important piece of information. How messed up is this, really? There is no one in the scene that thought of it. Why was he not allowed to take his medication? Because he was not treated as a patient, he was treated as a criminal, which he's not.
They knew he was autistic. Everybody knows somebody that's autistic. There's no way not one person there knew. The mental health specialist told him to quit being a crybaby.
Mental health specialist. Specialist my ass.
Outside of 50 incident, do you figure out that much?
Is it Isaiah? Yeah. Yes, Isaiah.
He just wanted to call his mom. I could have calmed him down. It would have been too late by that point, though. If they were.
This is something a lot of people don't talk about. Right, it's that mental health, mental illness, you know, it can be ugly. Because what you're saying in this video is ugly, right? And it's not just the way the police officers are handling this, no. His reaction, what he's going through, it's ugly. And, you know, I think we're living in this paradigm, cultural paradigm regarding mental health where, you know, we like to think, oh, you have to be so accepting of people with mental illnesses, mental conditions. They're just like us, you know. It's great. It's great. It's a good thing. I'm not saying it's not. We do need that, of course. But I think it comes at a cost, you know, where we think, oh, it's all so nice, you know. It's like we only want to see the sunshine and rainbow sides of things, but we turn our heads away the moment it gets ugly, right? And mental health gets really ugly. You know, it's everything from grief to trauma to extreme meltdowns like that. Depression. Depression is ugly, you know. It's not, we can't just talk about, oh, accepting people with depression, right? Oh, yeah, that's all that sweet talk. Fuck that, you know? It's so fucking fake, really. You know, we need this realistic picture of the ugliness of mental health, and everybody who actually really fucking struggled with their mental health is going to tell you that, yes, it is ugly, you know. But that's not even the point here. Because as ugly as mental illness can be, compared to these fuckers who are handling the situations, it's pretty. You know, because if you compare it to this fuckery, to this mess, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful mess. But the situation is so disturbing. And, you know, none of us would want to be in this situation. And I think anyone with any level of empathy would handle it differently. I want to believe that. I want to believe that, but I'm not sure if I do. Because, considering the amount of people who were present there, no one did. Right? So, is it something rare to actually know how to treat people? Is it rare? Is the human condition really that bad? Is it? This is a genuine question I'm asking myself. It's a rhetorical question. I'm not going to answer that. But I'm giving both myself something to think about, and maybe I'm giving you something to think about. I don't know. But I know he's not going to be thinking about it, because he died that day. In that jail. It could have been avoided. It could have happened differently. You know? But it didn't. And nothing can possibly change that. Done is done.
The doctor told me, had we gotten him sooner, we could have saved him.